Hello, hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, law of attraction, and all of that juicy goodness. In this video, we're going to talk about how the universe moves us for miracles. There have been so many times in my life where I'm in the middle of saving something, helping somebody, feeling excitement, getting extra money, just feeling getting free things. And there was always a decision that had to be made prior to me being in that environment, being with that person, seeing that event. And it was like I was moved to be there at the exact right time to receive the desire, to receive the miracle, to help somebody, to save something or someone. And it's happening every single day. And these are the stories that I think more people need to hear, is how we are truly always being taken care of. We're always being brought exactly what we need. And sometimes it's not about us receiving desires. It's about us being human and using our bodies and our minds and our hearts to help others. So I'm going to start this video off with something strange that happened to me yesterday. And we're going to go into a bunch of success stories. So the first story I want to share is I was on the treadmill at my apartment complex, and it is directly across from my back door. So right now I can see the windows to the gym. I'm on the treadmill by myself, and I'm almost ready to be done walking on the treadmill. I walk on a 10 incline at 3.0 miles per hour, in case anybody's wondering. I do that 4 or 5 times a week for like 30 to 40 minutes, and it just feels so good. It's like my meditation. So I'm on the treadmill and I see this guy, might be like mid-20s, walking underneath my balcony, and it was like drizzling, and he was on his phone. And then all of a sudden he went into our stairwell, my building stairwell, and I'm just watching him. I'm like, what's he doing? And I was just like, oh, maybe he's trying to get out from the rain. And then I see him walk to my neighbor's door, and he's like looking down at something. I'm like, this whatever is going to steal my neighbor's package. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm witnessing this right now. So what do you know? He grabs it. It's a DoorDash order. So it's a bag of food. It's a brown bag of food. He grabs it and just starts walking. And then I see him walk to the next building over, and then he puts it in front of another door. So I was like, oh, giving him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, oh, he's a DoorDasher and he dropped it off at the wrong address. And maybe he was looking at his phone going, is this the right address? I don't know. And then, so I didn't text my neighbor. I almost texted my neighbor, and I'm like, why am I witnessing this right now? This is really strange. So then I don't see him. He leaves out that stairwell, and I could see the bag of food on the ground. And then my neighbor comes out her door and she looks down and she doesn't see it. And then I see her go back in. Then she comes back out and she walks around like she's going to come into the gym to go to the main office, to the ladies at the complex, to, I guess, complain that her food was missing. And she happened to come in the gym, which was strange because I was going to go like get off the treadmill and go talk to her and be like, hey, was that your food? So she happens to come in the gym, and I'm like, hey, she goes, did you happen to see anybody? I'm like, yeah, I saw the whole thing. I'm like, your food is right in that corridor over there. She's like, for real? And I'm like, yeah. So she goes and walks to see if it's still there. And it was there. She comes back to the gym and she's like, what the heck? She's like, that guy just totally like, was he trying to be a jerk? Was he wondering what food it was? Was he going to steal it? Like, what's going on? And then she tells me that she has some sort of like mystery illness with her hands right now. And you guys know me, I'm like super health nut. Like I love helping people overcome like illnesses and stuff. I have celiac disease, and I've healed my celiacs, which is a gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, all the things, but it's autoimmune. So when you have an autoimmune disease, it's usually something's going on with your liver, and you have a lot of heavy metals and toxins that are clouding your brain. You might have brain fog, all the things. And there's different symptoms for everybody. So she's having this skin reaction on her hands, in between her fingers. It's like all crusty and hard and stuff. I think they were swollen too, and she can't cook. So she was purchasing food because she couldn't cook. I didn't know she was dealing with this all the time, living below me. So here I am. I have a cure for her, which is celery juice. It's like one of the best things to do for autoimmune and for mystery illnesses. You drink celery juice on an empty stomach every morning, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and you see if there's progress. I usually find relief, like if I have any kind of issues with my skin, within like 2 days. So I'm watching her interact with the ladies in the office, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to tell her about the celery juice, because she was talking about her hands and how she's so pissed that this guy almost took her food and she's struggling and she just wants her food. So I ended up interacting with her later and she was open to it. And I already had like 3 frozen jars of celery juice in my freezer. So I took it down to her and I sat on my couch afterwards and I said, wow, the universe used me. Like nothing bad happened, right? Like the food wasn't taken, nothing was stolen, but there was a weird scenario that the universe made my eyes see because it knew that she was suffering and it knew that I had a remedy. So, do you guys see how we are always being maneuvered and we're being brought the people we need when we need them? And she was living right below me, and I didn't know that she was suffering, but the universe made us interact yesterday so that I could help her. And I'm praying, and she drank it this morning. I texted her, I was like, did you drink your juice? So I'm praying that she gets relief soon, and I'll keep you guys posted. And if anybody else out there is having a mystery illness regarding your skin or inflammation, celery juice, and also a liver detox smoothie is wild blueberries, banana, and I believe dragon fruit, the three of them. And there's some other things you can add to it, but those three basic fruits are gold. Blend them together, add a little water if you need to, or just ice cubes. Drink it every morning after the celery juice, and that will help detox your body of all the heavy metals and all of the crap and the chemicals that are in our air, all that jazz. So, anyway, little fun tip there for you. So, back to manifesting stories. So, she manifested me that day. She probably was sitting at home, not feeling good, saying, universe, and maybe she wasn't praying, but she's wanting relief and she can't work right now because she's in the medical field. So she manifested me and a solution for her health. So we are always manifesting things all the time. My next story is I'm going to read a text from one of my friends. It's about her leaving her phone. Okay. She said, listening to your newest video, I lost my phone last week and ended up leaving it in my car. My husband took my car to a client's house. And when he got to the house of this client, the client had a medical emergency and couldn't get up to alert anyone. His wife was in Germany, and my husband's phone couldn't make a call to Germany because it didn't have international. He tried it on my phone that had international calling, and it worked, and he was able to contact her. When the police and ambulance came, they said how bad of shape the man was and how my husband was his saving grace. So that's another example of when you think you've lost something, you think you've misplaced something, sometimes it's meant to be. We're being moved because we're going to save somebody, we're going to help somebody. Okay. All right. The next story is there was a woman named Sonia. I was listening to her YouTube video the other day, and I was like, oh my God, this is a magical story. She is very much so somebody who teaches about intuition, teaches about, getting out of your head and into your body and letting the universe move you. And in order to do that, you have to listen to the little voice that says, turn here, call this person, don't eat that, or eat this, or go to the gym. For me, it was stay on the treadmill longer, Michelle, because you're meant to see something in 5 minutes. Because I almost got off that treadmill yesterday, but something said stay on. So I listened to it. And she was driving every day. She drives the same route to pick up her kids. And it was snowy and it was cold. I think she lived in Chicago. And she's driving and driving, and she's got to be on time, to pick up your kids from school. And all of a sudden, her intuition, the universe tells her to turn right. And she knows to follow this. So she turned right, then she turned left, and then she turned right. And she's going further and further and further away from the school. And she's kind of like, all right, universe, where are you moving me? The next turn she makes, she sees a 2-year-old naked in a diaper running across the street, and nobody is anywhere to be found. And it is snowing, and there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground. This baby is naked by themselves. Oh, could have gotten hit by a car, could have gotten taken, could have gotten killed. And she literally puts her car in park, jumps out, grabs the baby, puts the baby underneath her coat, and is like wondering where to go. So she randomly picks the house that happens to be where the baby's from. And I think she said her guides told her to go to like the second house on the street. So she went to the second house, she knocked, and it was the babysitter that answered the door. And she was like, oh my God, you have the baby. And she's like, yeah, your baby was just running across the street. And she's like, I'm the babysitter, I'm so sorry. And Sonia was like, that babysitter should be fired. But thank God she listened to her intuition and made all those quick turns, and she was still on time to get her kids. She left a little bit earlier that day, but it was God's grace. Like she was meant to make those turns to save that baby. and that babysitter. So it's just incredible to hear these miracle stories. Another one that I wrote down was there was one morning, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was driving on my morning drive and I was like, do I feel like getting Starbucks? Not really. And I normally go to this one Starbucks all the time. And my intuition started taking me to another one. But I was like, no, Michelle, just stay at your normal one. I turned around and went back to my normal Starbucks, which is closer to my house. But I had already been on my drive. So it's not like it was just out of my normal routine. It was a weird, like, I felt like I couldn't make a decision for myself. So anyway, I pull up to the Starbucks and there's a new girl, and beautiful girl, so sweet. And I could just feel her nervousness, and I could feel that it was her first day and she was training. And we ended up having like a 30-second to a minute conversation. And she started crying in the conversation with me because I said something. I said, I need you to know something. And I go, this might be strange, but she handed me my coffee. I'm like, thank you so much. I was like, I need you to know something. And she's like, what? And I said, you're doing an amazing job. I was like, don't criticize yourself. I was like, I know I'm interjecting right now, like into your life, but I'm like, somebody needs to tell you that you're doing amazing and this is right for you. And you're just doing great. And she started to cry. And she goes, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that. And it was powerful. And I left kind of teary-eyed because I didn't know what was pouring through me. I didn't know that I was being called to that Starbucks for her. And then the next time I came around, like a couple days later, she remembered my order. She remembered my name. And she was just looking at me in the eye, just like feeling so connected when she handed me my coffee. And my coffee trips are not about the coffee. They're always about the human interaction. Half the times I don't even drink half the coffee. And I'm like, I'm wasting my money, but the universe always pays my bills. So we're good. But speaking of that, I got a $25 gift card to Starbucks this morning from my friend Carrie. So that was like perfect timing. But I didn't know, but I trust it. I trust when I have this weird, like, I don't know if I should go here. And I just go and I just trust that little nudge. It always works out. There's always a reason for it. And sometimes it's just that emotional support for somebody who's starting a new job and it's her first day, and they just lost a parent and they're struggling and they feel like they can't do life on their own. Whatever it is, you're being called places. Another manifestation story was a couple years ago, I owned a condo in Delran, a town that's like a couple towns over from where I live now. And I was living in this complex, but in a different building. And my dishwasher broke at my old condo. And I had renters there. They texted me, they're like, hey, Michelle, your dishwasher's not working. And I was like, you know what? It probably needs a new one. It's been like 10 years. It's been great that it lasted this long. So I'm like, I don't want to have to spend this much. I had just purchased an oven earlier that year for the condo. And I'm like, this place is draining me. So I know to lay in meditation and to ask the universe to bring me things. So I was laying in my meditation on my couch. I remember it, my little gray couch that I had. And all of a sudden, one of the maintenance guys' names popped into my head. And this was probably like 5 years ago. And I was like, maybe he'll know because he works maintenance. He works with fixing appliances, ordering appliances. He might know a cheap place where I can go get one that's brand new for really an inexpensive price. So some of you might have heard this story already. Fast forward if you already have. But I quickly got my sneakers on. I stopped the meditation as soon as I heard the voice. I went to look for him in his golf cart and I couldn't find him. I think he was he was probably in one of the units fixing something. So then I went to school the next day, came back from teaching, saw him in the parking lot, drove up next to him. I was like, yo, bud. I was like, do you know where I can get a really good dishwasher, like brand new for a cheaper price? And he was like, will you be home tomorrow at 3:30? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll come to your door. I'll show you what I have for you. So I thought he was going to like bring his phone or bring like a pamphlet or something for me to look through. And he comes to my door and tells me that he has a brand new dishwasher in a box for me, ready to put it in my Jeep. I guess they had an overflow of dishwashers here, or maybe one had like a ding in it or something that didn't fit size-wise. I don't know. But he had a brand new one and he offered it to me. So I literally got a dishwasher and I threw him a couple $100 just to like, because I felt so grateful. But I think he only would take like 150 or something. I'm like, please let me pay more. And he's like, no. He's like, you're an angel. You need this. I'm like, thank you so much. So if I didn't lay on my couch and sit in that meditation and ask, I would have never had the thought. I would have never taken action on it. So sometimes we're being moved and sometimes we're being told what the next step is. And it's really just, if you're having the thought, that is the nudge. Okay. And it's most of the time, it doesn't make sense. Like that woman, Sonia, it didn't make sense to turn down the streets that were going away from her school. So we have to drop out of the mind and into the body and let the body lead us. Our spirit is down here. Our mind is what is logical and it's saying, no, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to do that. I can't quit my job because I won't have money. But your body is saying, quit your job. This doesn't feel good. So we have to drop down into the spirit and let it move us. And that takes a lot of practice and a lot of intuitive days, like waking up, not having a plan and just going with the flow, feeling into what it feels like to listen to that and then to take action on it and to see what happens afterwards. Here's another story for you. So one time I was at my mom's house and my dad had just recently passed and we were all hanging out and my cousin from out of town was there and something just told me to go home. And the whole family was there. It was like fun, but I just was like, why do I want to go home right now? This is really weird. And I know to follow that. Like when I want to do something, I want to do it. So I said bye to everybody. Everybody was like, where's Michelle going? Why is she leaving? You know, is she okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just am tired. I want to go home. Well, I go home and I find my next door neighbor stuck outside. She locked her keys in her car. Her apartment key was in her car. The door to her apartment was locked when she shut it. So she's barefoot, standing outside by herself with no way of getting in touch with anyone. And then I see her like talking to another neighbor who was walking his dog and they called the police. But in those situations, the police won't, go into your car to get your keys for you. You have to get like AAA or you have to get a company to come out. So she ended up having to wait like an hour, but I happened to come home and I told the guy walking the dog, I'm like, I got her. She's my next door neighbor. We're good. You go home, walk your dog, take care of your pup. And so I told her, I'm like, come up to my apartment, we'll hang out. And we ended up having like an hour conversation. We called the place, we paid for AAA to come. She actually bought AAA that night, so to help her. And she was having like relationship issues, and we were talking about the universe. And it was like so meant to be that I left my family party to come home to help her. She had a warm place to go to sit inside, to wait for AAA. I used my credit card to pay for the AAA, and then she paid me back because she didn't even have her wallet. She didn't even have her phone. She couldn't make a phone call. Everything was in her car. So I was moved to come help her. So where in your life are you noticing these things that are happening to you? And where are you giving thanks and asking the universe to keep making it happen? And the more you thank the universe for these miracle moments and you start to see them more in your life, you begin to build trust. You begin to trust yourself to listen to that nudge. So when you have a decision to make, and it's a big decision in your life about whether to buy a house or to take this job or to move, you can tune in to your spirit. And if you can't find the answer yet, go do an intuitive day. Get out of your head, get back in your body, put on music, dance for a little bit. Dancing brings you right back into your spirit. And then when you're dancing, that's when it's going to pour through you and you're going to have your answer. You're going to say, this feels right, or this doesn't feel right. And the last story I want to share with you is there was one time where my Jeep top was down outside, and it was like a sunny summer day, and I was coming up. It was the middle of the day and I was about to go take a shower, but something said, no, Michelle, go put your Jeep top on. You're not going to want to do it later, whatever. My guide just kind of like made me do it. So I literally had to put my clothes back on. I was about to walk in the shower. I turned the shower off, put my clothes on, closed my Jeep top. And every time I close my Jeep, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. I don't have to worry about it raining and ruining anything. And Jeeps are meant to get wet, but it's just a pain in the butt to clean it all out. As I'm in the shower, I hear like thunder and lightning. We were not supposed to get a storm. And all of a sudden I heard this big crack of lightning or thunder. And I was in the shower like, I freaking love you guys. Cause normally I would be running out of that shower, throwing my clothes on, having to close my Jeep top, but it was perfect timing. And I'm thinking of one more story that I want to share with you before I end this. Another story was I had a towel that it was weird. I was on the phone in my apartment one day and I was getting ready to leave. And I think I was cleaning my apartment or putting things away. And I had like a dish towel in my hand. It was so bizarre. And, you know how when you're carrying something or like your sunglasses on your head and you're like, where did my sunglasses go? So I was carrying this towel and the phone and my purse, and I'm just walking out and I get into my Jeep and I'm like, why did I bring a dish towel with me? And I put it in my car because I'm like not going to go back up to my apartment just to drop it off. So then I go to pick up my niece. She spills her drink all over her. And what's right next to her or right next to me? A dish towel. And I usually always have paper towels underneath the back seat of my Jeep just for emergency situations like that. But I didn't have any more paper towels, but I had the dish towel. It was so freaking perfect. She was like, Shushi, I'm so sorry I spilled in your car. I'm like, babe, it's a Jeep. It can get dirty. I'm like, guess what? I have a towel for you. And she's like, she's like, I can dry my legs off. So we used the towel to clean her, not the Jeep. I can clean the Jeep later. It's no big deal. But isn't that magical? Like we're just always being moved and doing things, and it's always a mess up. Like we think it's a mess up, like me bringing the towel. That was stupid. Why did I do that? No, it was meant to be. My friend leaving her phone in the car, like that was meant to be. So everything is always happening for us. Remember these stories, start to track your own stories that are happening in your life or anybody telling you them. I'll try to keep creating more miracle stories like this. I know it's more fun to hear about people like coming into a bunch of money, but sometimes the small moment miracles are like just as fun. Like me seeing that guy taking my neighbor's food yesterday and then me connecting with my neighbor to help her heal. Like that is way more meaningful than money. Like I could care less about money. I want to help her feel good. So it's just comforting that if I'm ever sick and if I'm in despair, I know the universe will bring somebody like me to come help me. So trust that if you're going through something right now, ask the universe to bring you the people you need, to bring you the money you need, to bring you the dishwasher that you need. If you need to borrow money to, fund something, ask the universe. And then lay in meditation, go for walks, and see what ideas you get, see what is brought to you. And when shit gets weird and you see somebody stealing something, or there's a flat tire, or you leave your phone in your car and you're like, always pause and say, the universe is moving me. The universe is doing this. Let's see what happens. All right, lovies, I hope you enjoyed this. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And if you need one-on-one coaching, if you want to learn how to tap into your spirit, to learn to be moved more, I can help you. I do one-on-one coaching, so hit me up. All right, lovies, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.